Hi, everybody. Welcome to this week's forecast. My name is Stephanie, and thank you for being here. This week, we are looking at April 24th through the 30th, 2022, which is the last day of April. Crazy. Next week, May. So this week, also on that last day of April, we end the month with a bang with a new moon, which is the energy of creation. It's a new moon in Taurus, and a partial solar eclipse as well. So a lot of energy on Saturday on that last day of the month. Let's plan to do something fun that day. So new moons are all about manifestation and creation and that forward movement. So really focusing on what we want to create more of this week. We're always focusing on that, but giving a little extra mindfulness and attention to it this week, because that's what we're going to carry into May very solidly. This new moon is on the last day of the month. We are going to take with us what we are focusing on. So let's make it good. So this week, I usually use Healing Crystals card decks for our crystal energy. This week, I'm using a different one. I don't think I've used it on here before for a collective reading. Zodiac Deck number 1, and I did pull a Taurus card. There are several cards for each zodiac sign in this deck. So I did pull one of the Taurus cards, but I haven't really peeked at it yet. And then for the majority of the week, we're going to use this Lisa Williams Intuitive Soul Oracle card deck. I also have not used that for a collective reading on here. And then for our Saturday energy, we're going to do the Moonology Manifestation cards to see what comes up for that new moon in Taurus. So as always, let's start with our Akashic Keywords. And these are 3 keywords that came up during my work in the Akashic Records this week as kind of a guiding or overarching energy for the collective for the following week. So a forecast, a way to set ourselves up to have the best week possible. And these words will always mean something different to each one of you who hears them, because it is a collective reading. There is some general guidance that may resonate with more people, but they may also have a special meaning for you, and that's fine. So the 3 keywords that came out this week are value was the first one, which I thought was interesting. And when I said, well, what can I get some clarification about this? I'm sure the Akashic Records love me, because I'm always like, can you give me more? Can you give me some clarification, please? Tell me more about this. I don't like to leave things open to interpretation if I can get a solid answer. So when I said, what can you give me about value? It's what we value, what we put value on, and how we value ourselves. So that being the really kind of the strongest keyword for this week was the message I got. And that's especially important going into this new moon energy where we're creating things right at the start of a new month. So, and a new quarter even. No, we're into the quarter already, but a new month, the month of May. So, you know, what we value, what we put value on, and how we value ourselves is what our big focus, our largest amount of mindfulness should be on this week. And what does that look like for each of us? What do we value? What is important to us? And knowing that what is important to us is not always what someone else values. And that is perfectly okay. You know, family might be the most important thing for us. Money might be the most important thing for them. It's all okay. We just have to realize that we all have different values, and focusing on what our values are. That's the only thing we can do. We can't focus on someone else's values. So what we value, what we put value on, and how we value ourselves, and what we're willing to accept into our experience, and what we're willing to cultivate in our own experience. So value. The second keyword was change. And this was very general. When I tried to get more information about it, it was just movement forward. So we're still in that energy of things unfolding, that whole reaping and sowing energy that we've been in for a few weeks, where things are starting to come up through the soil, things that we've planted are coming to fruition. And then the third keyword that came up was choice. And when I asked about that, it was that we have unlimited choice. So what we grow, what we value, and what we are either accepting or changing. So those first 2 keywords, the value and the change, it's our choice what we allow into our experience. And I know it does not always seem that way. It does not always seem that we have choices, but we do always have free will, and we do have free will over our focus and over our attention, and the things we want to give our attention to, and the things that we are willing to accept in our experience. So it's one of those things that when I say it, it sounds very flippant and like, oh, you're in charge of this. You create your own reality. The truth is we do. It's not always that easy to accept when we're here and dealing with, all of the things that come with this human experience, like emotions and traumas and things that don't always seem like they're guiding us in the right direction, or they don't always seem like they're going to be in our highest good. But this is saying, it's a reminder, we do have choices. So what can you find in your current experience that you value? What can you find in your current experience that you want to change? Use this as a week of comparison and contrasting, not of beating yourself up for not being where you want to be. So not comparing yourself to others, but comparing your experience to where you want it to be, and then making some minor changes that will help move you further down the road on the path to where you do want to be. So this week, really focusing on the fact that you have choices, those lead to changes, and focusing on what you value. That's our Akashic guidance for the week. So let's talk about our crystal energy. And as I said, I did draw a Taurus card. It is the love card, and it's brecciated jasper. So the reason I drew this is because we have the new moon in Taurus. So what do we want to create more of? And this says we want to create more love. And it says brecciated jasper, which is a type of red jasper with some inclusions of quartz. Brecciated jasper helps you use your solid core to create a place of joy and contentment. So, our joy and contentment and your experience of making yourself comfortable in your life, is that a value for you? Is that something you want to put more energy into? Create a place of joy and contentment from a place of being centered and solid in yourself, in your own values. And then Sunday, oh, funny. Sunday I haven't had this deck out for a very long time, and I shuffled it really well before I drew the cards. Sunday we have the choice card, which was our third keyword from the Akashic Records, and the choice card says looking at the options, growth, learning, new beginnings, decisions to make. So I feel like this is appropriate on so many levels. One, it's one of our keywords for this week, choice, looking at your options, knowing what you want to give your energy to, knowing what you want to give your attention to, knowing that you do have choices. And see, goes to that reaping and sowing energy. What do you want to water? Do you want to water those weeds that are popping up, or do you want to water these beautiful flowers? Do you want to give your energy to the things you don't want in your experience, or do you want to give your energy to the things you do want? And really just using mindfulness and focus. It's not instantaneous for everybody. Sometimes it takes some work to get our brains out of those loop patterns that the stories we've been telling ourselves our whole lives, but we can do it. We do have free will and we do have choices, even if they're little at first and you don't feel like they're going to lead to this big epiphany. Sometimes epiphanies are overrated. Sometimes small steps are what we need. So, watering the plants, watering the things, giving the energy to the things you do want will lead you further down the path toward what you want to create. And then this was Sunday. Monday, we have the commitment card. So I feel like this goes right along with the Akashic keywords too. It says being true to yourself and others, committing to trust yourself. So what's that sound like? Committing to value yourself, right? Tuning into what your values are, and then committing to yourself, power and knowledge. And that's value. That's tuning into what you want. And what's been coming up a lot over the past few months about being true to yourself, authenticity, those buzzwords we keep talking about being your true authentic self. So commitment to that, I feel like goes right along with valuing yourself, knowing what your values are and committing to those. Tuesday, we have the plan card, and it says making plans, seeing the future, making changes. So change being our second keyword. And I think weeks leading up to new moons, with this one being on a Saturday, this is a great week to journal, get your ducks in a row, really, by tuning into your values and committing to them and knowing your choices, knowing what your options are, write things down, get them out of your head so that you're not ruminating and rehashing. And then you're able to see clearly what your options are, what your choices are, what your values are, and you can see what changes can be made. So making a plan, putting a plan in place, and then makes it a lot easier to make the changes you want to make. Wednesday, We have the Dawn card, which I always want to say new dawn when I see this card, because it is like a new day. It's a new energy. So this is Wednesday. This is midweek through the week. New beginnings, new horizons, birth, and rejuvenation. So sort of making these plans in the first part of the week, right? And I usually say some weeks feel more chronological than others. So this week unfolding chronologically from an energetic standpoint, the Dawn card says new beginnings, new horizons, birth, rejuvenation. So we're in that midweek as we are moving into the start of that new moon energy, of that creation energy, because it goes about 3 days before to 3 days after. So on Wednesday, we're entering into that. And you can see how it shifts out of, figuring out, planning, choices, values. What can we change? What are our options? What do we have control over? To, okay, I can see clearly now. I have planted these things. I can see clearly now. I see the path, and I see that it leads to the new horizon. Thursday, this is very chronological this week. Thursday, we have the butterfly. So butterfly is symbolically all about change and transformation, but also about growth. And this card says change, transformation, growth, beauty, spread your wings and fly. So again, moving forward, we have planned out our week. We have seen the sun on the horizon, and now we are transforming our current reality, our current energy. We are transforming ourselves into what we want more of based on additional knowledge of ourselves, knowing what we value most. And our values can change over our lifetime. It's okay to reassess things. So this kind of being a week of reassessment and tuning into what our current values are, and knowing that we have choices to change things. Friday, this is perfect. Friday is the freedom card. So, I mean, this, we have new light on the horizon, we have change and transformation. And then what does that lead us to? It's freedom. And this card says soul freedom, being yourself. There's that authenticity energy again, releasing ties from the past right before a new moon and setting yourself free. So that's your Friday energy, is freedom. So, really assessing and knowing what our values are, knowing what our options are, knowing what we want to change, taking stock of it, making an assessment about it, seeing that it's available to us because we do really have unlimited choices. Changing and transforming to allow that new reality to come in, and then this sense of boom, big freedom on the horizon on Friday. So I love this. I should use this deck more often. So then switching decks to the Moonology Manifestation deck for Saturday, it is the new moon in Taurus energy. I did draw that one obviously ahead of time. Know your worth. So isn't that like valuing yourself? Yeah, know your value, how you value yourself, know your worth. So let me read a little bit from the guidebook for this one. Acknowledge and make a list of your best traits. If you find that hard to do, ask a friend to tell you what's great about you. Call in Archangel Shamuel, who helps you find anything you need and brings spiritual illumination. So that dawn energy. And knowing your worth means knowing you're on the right track and to go steadily toward your new reality. So opportunities open up when you believe in yourself and you know your own value. And there's a manifestation or affirmation you can use, and it is, I deserve to manifest blank. So lists and assessments coming up a couple times in the planning card here and in the energy of the new moon in Taurus here. And that's how you know what you value. And that's how you know what your value is when you assess these things. You write them down and you say, yeah, I really am worthy of these things that I want to create. By virtue of being here, I am worthy of creating the experience I want. So that is our energy for this week. I hope you enjoyed this, and I will see you all next week.